Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss American Trading, and you are tuned into our podcast, The Secret War on Cash. In fact, before we get started here today, if you haven't contacted our office to receive a free copy of the report entitled The Secret War, please do so. Very informative, very helpful, and very necessary given all that's going on in the world today. You can do that by visiting us online at www.swissamerica.com, or you can contact us by telephone, by phone call, or text, actually, at 1-800-289-2646. So if you haven't done it, as I mentioned, please do so. There's a lot of great information in there, necessary information given the circumstances of what's taking place in our economy. Well, I have Chris Agelastos, my co-host here. Chris, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about BRICS again. And BRICS is still, it's on the move. And for, something that at the beginning of this year, it looked like, okay, President Trump's tackling BRICS, and is BRICS going to make it? Or are they going to survive? Or are they going to back down? They just keep picking up momentum and speed day after day after day. And as we look here, BRICS abandons the U.S. dollar and settles 65% of trade in local currencies. So this is exactly what President Trump was trying to avoid. And it doesn't look like it's an avoidable situation. So when they're talking here, Chris, about this 65%, tell us a little more about that. What does it actually mean, and what does it mean for the U.S. dollar?
Well, so one of the benefits to the dollar over the years is that it was primarily used for international trade. It was a common currency that many nations could use to pay for each other's products, and that supported the U.S. dollar. So everybody wanted the dollar. The dollar, since the 70s especially, has been very strong. And so now what is happening is these BRICS nations have gone in just a relatively short amount of time, just in the last few years, have gone from about a third of their transactions being settled amongst their own currencies to 2/3. So from, well less than half to now the majority of their trades are being handled with their own currencies. And so what it shows you really is the sentiment out there that these countries do not want to continue having to use the dollar. They have found another option through uniting in BRICS to be able to use their own currencies, and what that's done is really challenge the dollar's dominance. We used to be able to let's say, I don't know what's a nicer word than manipulate, but kind of dictate how a lot of international decisions were going to be made. And as you lose financial power, you lose political power in the world. And most of these BRICS nations have experienced at one time or another, either U.S. sanctions or now tariffs. And they don't want to be told what to do any longer. So they're kind of slowly breaking away. But you can see if you make a little bit of gains each year, look back 5 years, 10 years, and they've made enormous gains towards dumping the dollar, if you will. And a lot of other nations are sitting on the sidelines and sort of watching this. So it's
Right.
Right now it's 65%. But you could see if a lot of investors and nations continue to lose confidence in the dollar over the next couple of years, you could easily see how this could become 85 or 90% pretty quickly. And that's not a good place for the dollar to be in.
No, not at all. Well, and what was it, a couple months ago? I think it was Poland was the first European nation to jump on board with BRICS, and it's happening, more and more. And there's, it really has nowhere to go but up. I mean, meaning like if BRICS just stayed the way they are right now with the nations that they have, they're pretty focused on their intent and their actions in terms of what they're doing. And that could just remain status quo. But let's look at this second article here. It's not remaining status quo. We're always hearing about it. Seems like we're always hearing about other countries who are looking to jump on board. And now 24 countries formally apply to join this BRICS alliance in 2025. And this one being the Congo. And I wish I would have prepared for this podcast. We talked about it. Goodness, must have been 6 months or a year ago. But one thing, the Congo, okay, we're not talking, Britain or anything like that. We're talking about the Congo. But one of the things we addressed is that even the current nations that are involved with BRICS, the amount of natural resources and assets that they own or control is huge. And
Yeah.
that, speaks to the strength of it. I mean, it's not just, countries that are fledgling or anything like that. These are countries that have resources, they have assets. And so,
Right.
as we look at now 24 countries, you wonder, Chris, at some point, is there going to be a breaking point where there's even maybe a bigger or mad rush for other countries to get on board? I mean, do you foresee something like that occurring?
Yeah, it's going to continue to grow. Right now, really, BRICS themselves are kind of controlling the speed at which they grow. They meet and vote and need to form a consensus on which nations they're going to allow each year. And they've been consistently growing at a nice pace, but they also haven't just accepted anybody. They're sort of making it this somewhat exclusive club that nations are applying and sort of vying to join. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. And what a lot of people don't realize, and like you said, okay, this is a country in Africa. It's not one of the top 5 or 10 GDP nations in the world, but what they do control is a lot of natural resources, like you mentioned, that the U.S. relies on in a lot of manufacturing, and most of that manufacturing is done overseas. A lot of it through China, which we've heard a bunch about lately. And so, even though these countries, you may not speak their name every day, and people may think, oh, that's no big deal. Well, what people don't realize is how it really does impact us and a lot of our goods that come into this country.
Right.
Which again, even though President Trump is working on sort of leveling some of that playing field, it's not going to just change overnight. So BRICS is opening their doors. They're wanting to expand. Other nations see that as a positive thing. They're growing, and unfortunately, the dollar is dying. And
Right.
if you're out there in the water and you've got a nice big boat that seems to be doing real well, and you've got one that's got some holes in it, which one are you going to swim towards? And I think that's what's happening here with BRICS. I think early on it was a small group of nations, and we weren't really sure what was going to happen, and it's continued to grow. And like we spoke about here earlier, or 2/3 of their transactions are being done in their own currencies now, and so I think more people are going to be swimming to that boat.
Yeah, I agree, unfortunately. Well, thank you
Right.
for that. And for those of you tuning in, thanks for doing so. And if you haven't already subscribed to our podcast, we'd love it if you did, as we look forward to talking to you more in the future. Chris, we'll talk to you again real soon. I know you're heading to Europe. Have a great trip, and can't wait to hear
Thank
how
you.
it goes when you get back. And
Yeah.
tuning in, have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you. Take care.